Whenever I see GPUs going on sale, I remember my rig that needs an upgrade. Pero on sale nga ba yung mga GPUs and CPUs ngayon? This is Price Watch for September. Let's find out.
Sawa ka na ba sa unactivated Windows mo? Well, lucky you! Pinakabago mula sa cdkeyoffer.com. Windows 10 and Windows 11 activation codes. Legit, safe, at pinakamura. Madali lang umorder. Hanapin ang Windows version na gusto mo. Piliin ang preferred payment method. Wala pang 5 minutes, nag-CDK ka na para sa Windows mo. Marami na kaming natulungan.
Dati, sad and depressed ako. But now, I found the love of my life.
Dati, aimless and walang purpose ang life ko. But now, I'm a world-class Zumba instructor.
So, web developer ako and content creator for a YouTube channel. And ngayon, ganun pa rin ako pero activated na yung Windows ko.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Alright, we're starting the bear month and actually the prices are looking pretty good. 1650, yes, buhay pa yung 1650. So a slight price increase by around 40 pesos. But yun nga, considering gaano kaluma tong GPU na to, still alive and kicking. Price hasn't changed much throughout the year actually. Mga naglalaro nga siya around slightly over 8,000. 3050, again, not the latest GPU, but still maintaining its price at around 11,000. Slight price decrease lang compared to last month. 3060 12GB, a lot of people would still be interested in this card, particularly for its 12GB of VRAM. Actually, price drop na siya to less than 16,000 from the price last month of around over 17,000. So, pretty good. 4060, so marami nag-aaway dito na hindi naman talaga siya good replacement to the 3060 at 17,591. The 5060, and again, a lot of people would complain na hindi naman talaga itong magandang replacement or it's not a good successor for the 60 line. It's at 19,160, slight price decrease, 600 pesos or so from last month. 5070 also went down, 38,267, so around 300 peso difference lang. 5070 Ti, down by around 400 pesos. 5080, a bit of a big increase, 4% increase from 81K to 85K. And the 5090 has a noticeable price decrease at around 153,000 compared to 159. So 6,000 peso price drop. Not that big in terms of the overall price, but 6,000, malaki-laki na rin yun in absolute terms. Going on to AMD GPUs, 9060 XT, 16GB. So the 16GB variant is the one that you would want. So that's what we're sure that we're tracking. It is slightly cheaper, 24,100 or so pesos. 9070, big jump always from the 9060 XT 16GB to the 9070. It is slightly cheaper by around 800 pesos. 9070 XT is also slightly cheaper by just 100 pesos. So again, yes, it is cheaper, but not by much or not by an appreciable rate. Intel's GPU, the B580, is slightly cheaper by 4 pesos. So basically no price change also there. Moving on to AMD CPUs, the 9800X3D, very popular, so a very small price decrease. The 7800X3D, also somewhat popular kasi yung X3D architecture nga is actually more expensive by around 800 pesos. Medyo significant price increase. 7600X, sort of entry level for the AM5 platform, has a increase at around 200 pesos. 5600X, slight price decrease around 300 pesos. And then the 5600G, slight price decrease of around 100 pesos. I think we saw one shop na mas mahal pa yung 5600G compared to the 5600X, which is very weird. Then moving on to Intel CPUs. Intel not having a great time lately. Very small price decrease for the 285K. The 4900K, slight price decrease, less than 2,000 peso decrease. 14700K, 100 peso decrease. And then the Core Ultra 7 265KF is around 600 pesos cheaper. So overall, if you look at the market, these are very nice numbers heading into the Burr months. Yes, slight price increases here and there, but overall, it is mostly a column of blue. Okay, admittedly, yung iba, sobrang liit lang ng price drop. But this is what we want to see going into the Burr months. Hopefully, price relief tayo. If you're angling for, a nice, shiny computer part this Christmas, this is looking like a good sign. And then supposedly, Nvidia will be releasing new 50 series cards, the Super Series. I think the rumor is Christmas time, so that should bring down the prices of the current models. So that's the summary. Let's go to the per shop deep dive. As mentioned last month, we swapped out one store. So basically, the prices that I'm quoting are the average lowest price for the model that we could find. So in 3060 12 gigabytes, we look through the entire database, the entire inventory of the store. We look for the model that's the cheapest, pero at least 2 fans. And then we list that price and we get the average price of between the 4 stores, and then that's how we arrive at the number that we present. But for the data geeks, or if you just want more data or better understanding of the averages that we're presenting, this is the per shop deep dive. You can also find it sa Google Sheet. It's in one of the tabs. We do not name the shops out of concern for their privacy. No, not really. We just don't want them to get free publicity. I mean, kung makita mo na, let's say si Husker, siya yung pinakamurang 5080. If price is your only consideration, then you're just gonna end up going to Husker. That's why we don't name who Husker is. Only Hardware Sugar gets free publicity on this channel. But I hope that everybody in the audience gets some value out of our videos. Especially itong price watch, which we do once a month. So Wedge, price increase for the 5070, 5070 Ti, and the 5080. Pero yung 5080 na to, yung price increase, kasi mahal talaga yung ROG, yung Astral. They didn't have any other models or any other brands that in the 5080 line. So, if this were like yung MSI Shadow na 5080, mas mura talaga to. You really pay a premium for the ROG brand. It's just that Wedge, that's the only 5080 that they had, so that's what we listed. So, that's why we get the average price so that you can get a ballpark figure, the sort of market rate or what on the street, magkano ba itong mga computer hardware na to. So, increase with the Astral. Everything else basically remained the same. They do have a cheaper 9060 XT model now. Before it was the Asus one at around 28,000. You can see that here. Now they have the XFX, which is around 25,000 pesos. They don't have a 9070, and then the Sapphire Pulse is cheaper now. Husker price is looking good. To be honest, it's only the second month of Husker that we've been tracking it. So last month kasi I tried to use AI, or 3 months ago. For the past couple of months, I've been trying to use AI to gather up this data, but it hasn't gone very well. So I'm not too sure how accurate Husker's data was last month. I mean, we do try to keep it accurate, but ito talaga ginawa kong manually. Like, I went into their site and manually looked up the data. So we'll see how this goes. Interesting lang dito, yung pinakamura nilang 5070 is from a unknown brand. Like, I'm not familiar with this brand, Manly Polar. Everything else is what you would expect. So colorful, always good prices. 3060 NB Duo, venerable model. Like, we've seen that on the market for a long time, but I do like colorful. Asus is the cheapest, 5070 Ti, then MSI 5080, yung expert series nila, pang creator daw, but it's basically the same chipset, still a 5080. Then the 5090 at 138K. 5060, 18,750. Price decrease for the 9070 and the 9070 XT. Joker, so as you can see, a lot of the shops are showing good prices. Joker was almost across the board price drops except for the 5090 and no price change for the 3060. They did have a price increase for the 9070 XT. Usually Wash has good prices. Slight price increase lang for the 3050 now and the 4060. And a decrease on the AMD side for the 9070. On to CPU prices, we start out with AMD. So Wedge, actually, I'm surprised na medyo mahina yung CPU inventory nila. I mean, last month, okay naman sila eh. This month, though, a lot of what we're tracking they don't have, except for the 5600X, which had no price change. Intel price changes, good price changes for the 14700K and the Core Ultra 7 265KF. Husker on the board, drop on the 9800X3D, price increase for the 7800X3D, and then price drops for the other AMD CPUs that we track. No price changes for Intel. Joker increase on the 9800X3D, and Joker actually has the most expensive 9800X3D that we are tracking. Then price decreases for the other AMD CPUs, and a price decrease for the 4900K. Wash, as I mentioned a while ago, maganda yung GPU prices nila. Maganda rin, in fairness, yung CPU prices nila. With price drops across the board, except for the 5600G, which they don't have, and for the 265KF. I think they had the 265K, but we tracked the KF lang for consistency since that's the one that we've been tracking, and they don't have that one. They just had a price increase for the 14700K, but it's only 400 pesos, so nothing too egregious about that. Also, here's a per shop deep dive. You'll notice that we note ano yung sample size. So if there's no note, that means all 4 stores had it. But then, if they didn't, we note, because if you're looking at a sample size was just 2, well, that's not a great indicator of the average price of the market. We also do this Amazon versus Philippine prices, and a couple of months ago, this was really interesting. Last May, where actually mas mura karamihan ng mga items from the Philippines. And it was a really confusing time kasi sanay tayo na mas mahal dito sa atin. But, the world has turned right side up again. Hindi na baliktad. Because here in September, mas mahal sa atin overall. The left-hand column is the Philippine price, and then the right-hand is the Amazon price. Yung mas mura lang dito sa atin is the 4060. Wow, big whoop, right? Kasi it is old tech. And then the 5090 is actually cheaper here. So mas mahal sa Amazon. Pero kasi a lot of the Amazon models, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're not allowed to be shipped to the Philippines. In fact, yung nahanap ko na pwede ma-ship dito sa atin is the ROG Astral. So these are the percentage differences. So here it is, the 4060 is 10% cheaper. In the States, the 5090 is 20% cheaper. But again, yun nga, there are cheaper 5090 prices on Amazon. But yung pwede mong ipadala dito is only the Astral, and as we mentioned, it is, ROG, mahal talaga yun. Although I don't know how useful this will be moving forward, because all of the computer hardware that we track now may import prices na. Dati wala. When Amazon first started shipping to the Philippines, it would be free shipping for anything above 100, and then madalang lang na may customs na ina-assess. Especially depending on how you chose to ship it. Dati, kung ginamit mo yung express shipping or yung mas mabilis na shipping na may konting bayad, mawawala yung custom duties. So it would end up being cheaper kasi if you use the free shipping, may customs, yung express shipping or yung mas premium na shipping, wala ng customs. But now, all of the hardware that we track may import charges na. Like, it can be as crazy as the 5090, $500. The cheapest is the 5060 with an $86 import charge. And the prices that we report here, wala pa yung import charges, as I noted. If you include the import charges, lahat mas mahal na from Amazon. And as a Philippine retailer, you might think na I would be supportive of that. But, to be honest, kahit walang import charges, you don't really want to buy from Amazon all of the time. Yes, maganda nga yung prices, pero paano yung RMA? What if something goes wrong? You need to claim on the warranty. It's very difficult to do that. And I was happy for the Philippine consumer. I am an enthusiast myself. I also get sometimes some stuff from the States, computer hardware-wise. Ako na to. Like, I have access to dealer prices because of Hardware Sugar. But sometimes, mas mura lang talaga sa States. And I'm not surprised kasi ang laki ng market nila. They can afford to buy in bulk. So the price that they're getting at is cheaper. So what they sell it at is also cheaper. And then, of course, you have Amazon Prime sales, whatever sales. Ang hilig mag-sale ng mga US retailers. So, yes, even with dealer prices na I have access to, paminsan mas mura. So I was pretty happy for the Philippine consumer that Amazon was an option. I even did a video about it for the channel na, yeah, actually, itong hardware na to, mas mura. But now, everything seems to have an import charge and it just doesn't make sense na mura nga sometimes or a lot of the time, as you can see based on our data. But then with the import charge, nawawala yung competitiveness na yun. So I'll probably still continue itong Amazon price watch natin. Again, this is a tab on the sheet which you can access alongside the other regular data. I'll probably continue it just because maraming balikbayan, maraming may relatives sa States. If you see that something is cheaper in the States, you might want to buy it and then send it to a US address and then sila na bahala how to get it to you so that you will avoid the import charges. So I think it is still useful but not as useful as before na what the price that you would see on Amazon, that's the price that you could be sure na babayaran mo. So going back to the summary, prices are looking good. I actually mentioned last time na generally prices don't drop for the Christmas season, at least dito sa atin. Pero malay mo, baka ang dami nangyayari ngayon with the tariffs, with maybe new models coming out towards the Christmas break. So if I were in the market for a GPU or a CPU but I can still wait, I would wait. Parang I have a good feeling na we'll see even better prices sa November and December. Yon. So as always, you can access the sheet anytime. The link is in the video description as well as in the comment section. Thanks for watching.